Chapter 2. The Optimization Chime. The Optimization Chime woke Elya at exactly 6:30, same as always. Her HAB unit's wall screen flickered to life, displaying her daily schedule in neat blue text. Educational Pod 7C, Nutritional Intake Block B, Recreation Period, Supervised, Return Transit by 1800. She rolled out of her narrow sleep alcove and padded to the hygiene station. The mirror reflected a thin girl with dark hair that never stayed properly arranged, no matter how many times the grooming protocol suggested optimal styling. Her brown eyes were too curious for her own good, Del always said. "Morning, Elya." Del Rennick's voice came from the main living area as she emerged. He was already dressed in his logistics supervisor uniform, checking his own schedule on a portable data slate. "Sleep well?" "The same." She grabbed her education satchel from its designated hook. "Are you working late again?" "Probably." He ruffled her hair, an inefficient gesture that always made her smile. "You know how it is. Cargo manifests don't optimize themselves. Yet." Del had been her guardian for 3 months now, since her parents were reassigned to agricultural development on Sector 7. He tried to fill the space they'd left, but Elya could see the tired lines around his eyes, the way he sometimes forgot to eat his own optimized meals. "I should go," she said, checking the chronometer. Educational Pod 7C started promptly at 8 a.m., and transit took exactly 17 minutes. "Hey." Del caught her arm gently. "Remember what we talked about? In class, just try to follow along. Don't overthink everything." Elya nodded, though they both knew she couldn't help it. The transit tube hummed with morning efficiency. Citizens stood in neat rows, reviewing their daily optimization targets on personal displays. No one spoke. Conversation during transit was marked as inefficient resource use. Elya pressed her face to the reinforced window, watching the hive's mid-levels slide past in geometric precision. Educational Pod 7C occupied a sterile room on sub-level 12, all clean lines and optimal lighting. 24 children sat at individual workstations, their ages ranging from 8 to 12. Instructor Vex, no relation to the planetary governor, she always clarified, stood before a large display screen. "Today we continue systems logic optimization," Instructor Vex announced. "Please access problem set 147 on your terminals." Elya's screen lit up with a schematic. Worker flow optimization, manufacturing sector, Delta 9. The problem showed a factory floor with designated workstations, transit routes, and productivity targets. The goal was to route 240 workers through 12-hour shifts for maximum output. She studied the numbers. Workers moved along predetermined paths, stationed at optimal intervals, cycled through tasks with mathematical precision. The proposed solution showed beautiful efficiency curves, perfect resource utilization. Her friend Cass, seated 2 stations over, was already inputting her answer. Cass had neat blonde hair and clothes that never wrinkled. She understood optimization instinctively, the way some people understood music. Her scores were consistently in the 95th percentile. Jorik, behind Elya, was taking longer, but would get there. He was steady, reliable, exactly the kind of student the system preferred, not brilliant like Cass, but competent enough to contribute to planetary efficiency. Elya looked at the problem again. Something bothered her about the worker flow patterns. She raised her hand. "Yes, Elya." Instructor Vex's tone carried the patience of someone who'd had this conversation before. "The optimization assumes workers maintain constant productivity for 12 hours. But what about when they need to use the refresher? And don't people get tired after 8 hours and work slower? The math doesn't account for bathroom breaks or fatigue curves." The room went quiet. Cass glanced over with something between embarrassment and sympathy. Jorik looked down at his terminal. Those variables are outside the scope of this optimization model, Elya, Instructor Vex said. Please focus on the assigned parameters. But if we ignore them, the solution won't actually work in the assigned parameters, Elya. Systems logic isn't about accommodating every biological inefficiency. Please focus on the optimization model as presented. A few students snickered. Elya felt her cheeks burn as she turned back to her terminal. She entered the expected answer, the one that ignored everything she'd noticed, and watched her efficiency rating tick down another point. After educational period, she walked with Cass and Jorik toward the nutrition center. Cass chattered about her perfect score on the morning's assessment, while Jorik listened with good-natured envy. You should stop asking those weird questions, Cass said to Elya, not unkindly. It just makes things harder for you. They're not weird questions, Elya muttered. They are if they're not in the parameters, Jorik pointed out. That's what parameters are for. They reached the nutrition center, where dispensers provided optimally balanced meals in recyclable containers. Elya picked at her protein synthesis block, watching other students eat with mechanical efficiency. Even lunch was timed, 23 minutes for consumption and cleanup. The afternoon brought more classes. Civic responsibility, her role in planetary optimization. Resource mathematics, calculating waste reduction, and imperial history, focusing on successful efficiency implementations. Elya struggled through all of them, her mind wandering to questions that weren't in the parameters. By 1730, she was walking home through the residential corridors of Level 47. The hab blocks rose in identical rows, their windows glowing with soft illumination as citizens returned from their daily contributions. Everything was clean, ordered, purposeful. She paused near the transit junction where Mrs. Hendrick usually tended her small hydroponic garden. The old woman had maintained the same routine for as long as Elya could remember, arriving at 1700 hours sharp to check nutrient levels and adjust growing lamps. But today the garden alcove was empty. Elya, dear. She turned to see Mrs. Hendrick emerging from a different corridor entirely, carrying what looked like cleaning supplies instead of her usual gardening tools. Oh, hello, Elya said. I was looking for you at your garden. Mrs. Hendrick smiled, but it seemed different somehow. Too wide, too precise. Garden? Oh, that old thing. Much more efficient to focus on hab unit maintenance instead. Would you like to come in for some nutrition supplement? I've been optimizing my daily schedule. Elya hesitated. Mrs. Hendrick had never offered her nutrition supplement before. She'd never talked about optimizing her schedule either. She usually complained about all the efficiency protocols. I should get home, Elya said. Dell will worry. Of course, dear. Very sensible. Mrs. Hendrick's smile remained perfectly in place. Efficiency first. As Elya walked away, she couldn't shake the feeling that Mrs. Hendrick had never used the word efficiency in casual conversation before. She'd always called it all that optimization nonsense. But maybe Elya was just overthinking again. Dell said she did that too much. The chime for evening meal preparation sounded through the corridor speakers as she reached her hab unit. Another day in Hive Lorvak was ending with optimal efficiency. Just like always.